Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
I'm so tense even right now. I'm so tense. I'm still tense.
I really don't know what to do right now. My mind is blown.
Yes. Yeah.
Blown.
Yes.
Booyah.
Complete.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are absolutely, positively in the right place.
Oh, yeah.
This is the one and only after show for Showtime's The Affair. This was the season finale. We're just like...
Say it ain't so loud.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let me get my introductions out. First of all, to my direct left, we have none other than Miss Alison Dean.
Hey, y'all. I took your y'all.
I'm
Alison Dean. You can find me everywhere at the Alison Dean. Happy to be here for the finale, and also very sad.
And of course, on the live chat, as always, holding it down, Miss April Whisenhant.
What is up, everybody? I'm going to be exasperated for a few minutes because I'm just like, what?
I'll be exasperated for the whole hour.
Yeah.
I'm going to be exasperated for the whole week.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's true. I got the live chat going. Thanks for joining us. We already got a few people in here. Let us know what you thought because we are all freaking out. As always, you can find me Twitter and Instagram at April Whisenhant. Also, tweet us using hashtag ABTV The Affair and let us know what you thought on Twitter and in live chat. I'm sorry. I'm schwitzing a little bit.
I'm verklempt.
I'm I love that you're all using the Yiddish tonight.
That's the only way I can do it. I had to pull it out.
Schmutz and
I had to pull it out.
schwitzing and
I'm verklempt.
It's all good.
And always you can find me at The Poet Saint. That's all day, every day on social media. So this episode, I will say, I'm just going to start off a few things. Number one, I was not... How can I say this? There was a lot that they needed to do in one episode.
Oh, wow.
There was a lot for me that they needed to do. There were so many loose ends that needed to be tied up.
Yep.
And I didn't know if they were going to be able to do it. I was like, there's so much because I feel like, and I was sharing this, I think, a couple of weeks ago with April, and it was like there was a lot of bombs dropped in the previous episodes of last season.
Right.
It was like boom, 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 like last 3 or 4 episodes. But it was like little tiny bombs, but we didn't really get anything big, and so I'm like, they're really gonna save it to the end episode? There's no way. That 70 minutes, that's what it was for.
Oh yeah,
that's what it was for.
The fact that it's just crazy to me that I thought, okay, we see who kills Scotty. I'm like, oh, so we know. No, we don't know. It's not over.
And I mean, the writers. Oh,
well,
gosh.
now we know, but we didn't know, and I thought we knew.
Exactly. And shout out to the writers who put this together because really, I was dumbfounded because when we get to how Scotty died and the mode and all of that we were perceiving, we got little tidbits and they gave little hints and we knew he got run over by a car, but that was it. We were all speculating, oh, it was Allison because of this, or oh, it was, Cole, or it was Whitney. Like there was all of these perspectives, and to find out how it actually went down.
Right.
That is the crazy part to me.
Yes.
I was kind of stalking Showtime The Affair. It's SHO_The Affair on Twitter throughout the episode, and they retweeted someone that said, I love how everyone had motive to kill Scotty, and that's why all of us are so surprised right now, because it's like not just one of our characters are involved in this.
Yes.
And that's what we've been thinking the whole time. I've been thinking Noah's covering for this, so maybe that's how he's involved. No, we have 3 people legitimately involved in Scotty's death. And this episode specifically was written by one of the creators, Sarah Treem, who I also stalk on Twitter often. And it is just so fantastically written that now I'm even more so like are so robbed by the Golden Globes. Like, they need every award ever. Because I haven't seen a show in so long tie in a big thing with so many characters the way that they did.
They even had Oscar. They even had the shout out from Oscar, and we find out how he was involved. Right. I mean, it's just little things that they did throughout the entire episode. Yeah. It was amazing how they just brought everything full. And the very end, to find out, that was the other thing I was going to say. I hated on Noah this entire season. Me and my partner in crime, shout out to Kelly Knezovich, who's not here, but we hated on Noah this entire season because of his douchebag ways. And I will say, at the very last final minute of this episode, he did redeem himself.
He was redeeming himself all throughout the episode, but the final hour, he did like the nail in the coffin in us thinking he's a bad guy. Yeah. And I want to shout out Victor Williams. He plays Detective Jeffries on Twitter. He's Big Vic Williams. He tweeted earlier, "Everything you thought you knew about Noah, ... Perhaps we were all wrong. # The Affair finale."
That is,
and I think it's so true. Like, Noah, obviously, which who doesn't have their flaws? Noah has had a lot of flaws and has gone through a lot of junk. But when it came down to it, and not just in the very last second, but when it came down to, him ultimately seeing Alison in the woods and wanting to protect Helen because she was driving, and then in the very end with what he did, he's ultimately a stand-up good guy. Now, maybe he's standing up when he shouldn't be standing up. We'll talk about how much y'all think about that.
Right.
But I was so relieved to even like him playing the video in his part. Well, they showed it in Alison's too, of playing with little Joni, and how we know now that he knows another bomb, that Joni isn't his, and he's still, we know, that being a father to her. And so I'm just like, oh, I needed this so much for him, because even though he's done some despicable things, I love his character.
Right.
I do think, though, it's important to just state that this was the second half of the episode was Alison's perspective.
Sure.
So we did not see Noah's perspective through the end of the courtroom scene where we think he stood up and said, "I killed Scotty Lockhart." So it'd be very interesting if they pick up in season 3 with Noah's perspective leading up to that, because it is possible still that they could be flipping things on us. I'm just saying, it's not impossible.
Well,
it's not impossible.
I don't think it's that way. It's not impossible for sure, but I don't think it's that way anymore, though, because they're not telling. I think it was that way at first because they were telling it to the detective. So they were trying to make themselves seem a certain way or come off in a certain light to the detective. And now it just seems like they're telling, even though obviously there are differences, it doesn't seem like they're telling the story to anyone with a motive. It seems like they're just telling the story.
I think it'll be very interesting to see how they play season 3, because
for sure
we really don't know. I mean, now with all the information that they gave us of what Noah did and said to Alison in the beginning, and then how things seem to be patched up seemingly, there really is a lot of room for how did things carry on between the two of them post-wedding, because we don't really know a lot of that. I mean, they could still really dive into that in season 3.
They could. I mean, and I think they write it in the way with these two perspectives that it gives them much leeway to do whatever they want to do with the story. I will say that I believe that when it came down to the things that needed when I was talking about the ends that needed to be tied up, I feel like in those two perspectives, that's actually what happened. Just for example, when Helen is driving with Noah in the car, and then they hit Scotty, right?
Yes.
And then Noah gets out and he sees in his version that there's someone in the bushes. It appears there's some rustling. Right. We don't see anybody at first.
Right.
There's just the premonition, like, was someone there? What's going on? But that's all we see. Of course, in Alison's version, we see that she's in the bushes, and not only is she in the bushes, Noah sees her in the bushes, and then she confesses that she threw him in front of the car.
Yes.
So I think that, yes, it's still up for conjecture, but I think at the core, these things, I believe they happen as they happen.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm just playing devil's advocate at the same time.
You always do that.
Well, just
Alison.
because it's important with this show. They give us a lot, and I think it's important to recognize all the little things that they give us.
Sure, absolutely.
Y'all,
absolutely.
I want to shout out a few people in chat right now. We have a lot of y'all watching. Thank you so much. But Sharon Rivas is not happy. She said, I hated that Noah covered for Alison, and he did redeem himself up until he covered for that witch Alison. And then we got LKC. I agree, Sharon. And then in Subugati, I'm so sorry if I butchered that, saying I agree as well. And I'm a little, we've always, also someone in the comments last week said that we don't call out Alison for her lies enough. And I'm like, are you kidding? We call out Alison all the time.
No, we do.
And
just Noah's worse for me. But
for sure. But I was actually, I didn't like Alison in the end because I was just, I don't know, something, the way that she was putting herself off, I was just like, you've done so much to these people, or not just to these people, I guess specifically to Noah. And I don't know, for her to say, well, I guess you're going to have to choose to him. And I'm jumping so far ahead right now.
And we're just going to do that because it's just too hard to kind of go step by step like we normally do.
Right.
But to piggyback off what you said, I think it's interesting when we get to the end and we have where she kind of tells him, you need to choose. See, for me, I was always with Noah, I was like, he doesn't love Alison. The way I always felt like leading up to this point that he doesn't love Alison because of how he was treating her, we know he didn't want that baby, but how he was treating the baby, and all the things that he was doing, the almost cheating, the, still being reckless, all of these different things that he was doing to her, that not directly to hurt Alison, but obviously was. Like, he didn't care for her. She was not the she was not the priority. Then to come all full circle, he knows now that that's not his child.
Right.
So doesn't have that connection. They're not married. However, what that showed when he did cover for her at the end, was covering for both Helen and her.
Right.
But Alison mainly, because he already said, those are my kids. Those are the mother of my kids. I'm not going to throw her under the bus. So we knew that he wasn't going to do that to Helen. So it was a matter of, is he going to Alison? What's he going to do? And so when he covers for Alison as well, that to me said, at the end of the day, he loves her. And that's why he did that. Because there's no other reason why he would do that.
Well, I agree too, because think about it. He's taking himself down completely right there. So if he didn't, knowing that Joni isn't his child, if he didn't love her, why would he do that? Why would he, ultimately send himself to jail right there? I think he does. And the way that because he looked back at her after he said it, I thought like he was going to look at her with resent in his eyes, or resentment, I should say.
Yes.
But it didn't look that way.
No,
it was like, okay, I
not.
got this. We'll figure this out.
I think there was a part of him probably, if we're going with the fact that he really did make that confession at the end, right? If that's what happened, then I think in his mind he was probably battling with, if I throw Alison under the bus, then all she's going to do is she's going to come back and she's going to say Helen was behind the wheel. So it's going to end up being this thing where he's going to pit both women against each other. And so he didn't want to do that. He still loves Helen and he loves Alison, and so he felt the only way I can do this is if I make a serious confession.
Yeah.
Because if Jeffries did take the stand and present that evidence, it would definitely have made the jury go, Alison did it.
Correct.
100%, especially with all the footage of her in the silent scene at the lobster roll with Scotty, and it looked like they were fighting, even though it was more like, stop drinking, whatever, right? So I think in that moment, Noah was like, can't do this. I gotta just bite the bullet here.
Because he loves her.
Right. He does love her.
Well, he also loves Helen, too. So he loves the mother of his children.
I don't think he loves her the same way he loves Alison.
I think he loves them in different ways.
He does.
At the core, he doesn't want either of them, obviously, to take the fall for this.
Yep, because he's actually a good guy.
Let's not go too far. Let's not go too far. Let's not go too far. Let's go too far. Okay, I'm going to present this because, like I said, we're going to kind of be jumping around, but the core is the evidence, and what we've all been waiting for is how Scotty died. In this particular situation, knowing, let's say that all of this is true, right? Everything that is true. So Helen was behind the wheel. Helen according to her own account, she was intoxicated, but Noah felt like, I need you to drive, because not only was he intoxicated, he also was having some issues with, what he had heard, everything that was going on in his head. He could not concentrate. So she's behind the wheel. Of course, she runs into Scotty. But we also know that Alison is the one that threw Scotty in front of the car.
Rightfully so. She was trying to get his rapey ass off of her.
Exactly. So, that being said, just by that account, who then would you say is at fault?
Alison.
Well, wait a minute. Whoa. Look, she didn't deliberately push him in front of a car.
She did.
Well, did she?
Yeah.
She saw the car
knew
coming
the car
and
was coming. She said, I pushed him.
Well, but she pushed him in the sense, yes, she pushed him, but pushed him aggressively off of her to try to get away.
I think
we could defend it different ways.
The car coming.
Again, it's so funny because we see it in front of us and they're still
There's still room for
exactly.
did she really because that's timing right there, man. Oh man, timing. That is wow timing.
We would have to, and it's interesting to say, if she pushed him. First of all, the fact that this whole situation was happening, that's not a road where you're going to have a lot of vehicles, right?
Right.
So, in my opinion, I think I'm going to agree with Alison on this, only because the fact that it's not like there's a lot of cars, there's only the one car coming. At the same time that this is happening, she is really trying to get away from him.
Yes.
And so because she's trying to get away from him, it didn't look like she was holding him and then pushing him.
Right. It was
you know what I'm saying? And it's get away from me.
Right.
He's fighting her. And it just so happened this car is coming and then boom, smack, she's done. Because I think at her core, we'll go to Alison now. Yeah. At her core, I don't think she's malicious enough to do that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
To her ex-brother-in-law. I don't think that she can do that. I think that it was a situation where Scotty was advancing on her. She was not having it. He was being a jerk like he has been.
And he was being aggressive.
Exactly. And very aggressive. And she threw him off and that happened. But you made a great point while we were watching this. It's and of course I said, well, we wouldn't have a show. Right. But if they would have collectively just went to the police and told them what happened,
right,
then everyone would have been exonerated, in my opinion.
Well, they were drunk. Is the only reason why.
Well, there was a lot of reasons why. I think it was
that's the main reason.
The main
Alison
reason
was
why.
not drunk. Alison was
not Alison.
The person who was driving
behind the wheel was drunk.
And Scotty was very drunk at that point. Yeah. And it would have been interesting, obviously if it was one of those choose your own adventure books.
Right.
What would have happened if they all...
It is like that.
Well, automatically if, I don't know the exact law, but I know it doesn't matter if someone runs in front of your car. If you are drunk and driving, then you screwed. It's I'm pretty sure it's automatically manslaughter.
But if someone pushes that person in front of your... Right.
I don't know. The law gets tested there.
Yeah, it's a sticky situation, which is, of course, why they didn't.
Yes.
But it seems to me, even in that moment, it's okay, if you hide something, it's going to come out. This is a murdered, we'll just say take murder out. This is a dead individual.
Yeah.
He's gone. Something happened for him to die, whether it was intentional or not. According to what I saw, I don't think any of it was intentional. I don't think Alison intentionally pushed him in front of a car. She pushed him away from him, and obviously
100% they didn't intentionally hit him.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So that being said, I think even if there was any type of something to happen, it wouldn't be the case where it's at now.
Right.
It wouldn't be where
it's
it's
literally the most extreme accident.
Sure.
Basically.
Right.
Exactly.
The worst
in
case.
every way.
In every way possible.
Yes.
Which is why we love the show.
Exactly.
Why we love the show.
Something to point out in chat. We were both
Francine Saphir commented a little while back. He wants, and this is
Noah
talking about Noah confessing and what he did for Alison and Helen. Because in this situation, Noah is technically the only one who's innocent in the sense of he wasn't behind the wheel and he didn't do the pushing.
Correct.
If we're getting technical, obviously.
Correct.
But Francine says he once told his son that he would sacrifice himself if he had to choose one person in his family to save. He proved it tonight.
Oh.
And earlier today, Sarah Treem tweeted something about, she's like, if you go back to episode 5 or 4 of season 1 and then episode 4 or 5 of season 2, Noah he says something that goes back to tonight, and I wonder if that is what she was talking about.
Interesting. But I
think it's such a good way to think about it, because obviously we know that Noah has the love there for Helen. I think that I pinched Allison and told her during the show, I'm like, this is what's going to bring him and the other Allison back together, because it's going to be a dark situation.
Sure.
And that scene at the very end, probably, it's got to be one of my favorite scenes of the season, where they're dancing, just like the mood behind it. And I wish I knew who tweeted it on Twitter. I hate that I lost it, but they said, I think it was a writer on the show, and they said, whenever we filmed this scene, talking about when they're dancing and just being like, what did you do with the car?
Right.
That they were like, we know we have something special. Dominic and Ruth just killed it in that scene. And it really did. Because I feel like I could feel their emotion through
all
the
of us
TV,
had goosebumps.
just like,
Yes.
I love you.
Yes.
I love you. And I think that is the second that showed me that, okay, they really it sucks that this had to bring them back,
together.
obviously, but it's the thing that showed me, okay, they've both done their crap, even though, we saw Noah putting his hand on Helen in the car. Noah goes through that because Noah is he likes what's comfortable for him, and whenever he gets in that situation, and, the memories, and they were married for 25 years. I'm not surprised that Noah would do something like that, but I think that when it comes down to it, he's like, okay, this is it, me and Allison. And that speech that he gave her where when she told him about the baby, oh my gosh, I'm all over the place right now. But
no, it's okay. This is how we're going to roll.
I thought that was genuine. Did y'all think that was genuine after she told him that she didn't know in his part?
Oh, you're talking about in his part.
Yeah,
Yes.
whose baby Joni was. And whenever he gave the speech, and I literally was like, you are taking the words right out of my mouth, Dominic West, because he was like, I thought all of this was for a reason, because you were my one true love. That all of this pain that I put these people who I really loved through was because we were meant to be together. And now it's pointless. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you, because that's what I've been thinking.
Right.
That is the only situation where I think, even as viewers, we can even slightly be okay with their affair actually happening, is because we think, if it's for, the ultimate greater good, if it's at that terrible time in their lives, but they were really meant to be together. And so I felt Noah's pain in that moment, because to feel that's what I felt like. I'm like, oh my God, all this, and then it's going to be for nothing. But I guess he gets over that pretty quick, knowing that Joni isn't his.
We really don't know, too, if it happened that way, or if the reveal happened during the scene where Scotty was singing.
Right, exactly.
So it's interesting. I mean, that was a great scene. I don't know. I don't know if
how does that work?
I liked his speech during
it was great.
Yeah, no,
it was fantastic. It was.
I think I think the speech was good. I wish in that moment when Allison is basically pouring out, in his version, of course.
Oh, right.
Pouring out her heart and basically telling him, and very remorseful.
Oh, yes.
About, how she withheld this information from him and all of this. The fact that one of the things he said is, I never cheated on you. He said he almost did, but he didn't. But
I'm sorry, he cheated on her.
Exactly. And I think that I'm going to agree with that.
He was there. I mean, he was at the point where he was going to do.
He was going to. Well, there's
He's
a couple
not the one who stopped
That's
it.
what I'm saying. There's a couple of instances. There's the instance where he was with the assistant. I keep calling her assistant. The assistant publicist. And Eden. Yeah. So it's with Eden, and then she stops it.
Yeah.
Right. But he would have gone on.
Oh, yes.
And then there's the instance which really flipped him out, is when he sees Whitney.
Yep.
He was going to go down there as well.
Oh, yeah.
So for him to say oh, I almost did and I didn't, it wasn't because you backed up and saw the light.
Right.
You just came across some obstacles and was like, oh no, I need to get out of here.
Right.
So I think that I would have appreciated that particular scene better.
Agree. Yes.
His speech would have been more impactful if he first would have confessed his sins as well.
And he
confessed
totally
exactly. He did not. He withheld it to try to make her look bad. And I didn't like that.
Well, in her version, right? In her version, she was only hearing the bad from...
No, that was in his version. That he was telling her that.
No, in his version, he was telling her.
Oh, in his version.
Yeah, it was in his version.
In her version, she just said.
Oh, her version was House of the Rising Sun. Yes.
Because in that makes
So in
that's
his
when
version.
Scotty, in her version, Scotty had already told her oh, I'm going to say something, and he gets up. He's
that does make sense. So in his version, he wouldn't say that because he wants to. Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Did you just say that basically?
I did, but
essentially.
It's cool. Right. I'm telling you,
my mind is still
we're Toa.
I don't even know.
It's okay. It's okay. But I do want to get to her version because I really want to stick about this reveal. because that's one of the bombs that we got. We always, they kind of teased us with Scotty's information, with the information that came to the attorney about the baby not being Noah's and it being Scotty's. And so we obviously got the confirmation in 2 different versions. We got it in his version where she was heartfelt, poured out, and then we got it in her version where it was almost like a scare tactic where she thought that Scotty might have said something. So before he says something, I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to leave you with that.
That I want to interject really quickly.
No,
that
please.
is one of the only. Y'all talking about it a minute ago, saying like, "Oh, did Alison push him on purpose?" Not made me think like, "Okay, no, she definitely didn't." But that is one of the only things that, even though I don't think Alison is like a murderous type or anything like that, but in the sense of, but it would just be to protect Cole, so I guess that wouldn't make sense. But that during the show was one of the things that made me think like, oh, she could have done this on purpose because he was the only one who had that like tying thing to them. Because even if Noah knows, even if she wanted her secret to be out to Noah, she doesn't necessarily want it to be out to everyone else, tying her forever to the Lockharts.
Well,
so I don't think that that's the case, but that was just one of the things like rolling around in my mind, I guess.
And for me, I'll tell you, I that was something that crossed my mind, but to me, I dispelled it because when her and Cole had that heart-to-heart on the beach, he was talking about, he said Louisa cannot have children.
Right.
At that moment, I'm like, oh.
This is her opportunity to say something.
Yeah. And I didn't think that, I was like, she's not going to say nothing now.
Right.
But future tense, I could see because they have a good relationship, they're in business together, he's saying he can't have children. Once this comes out, because we knew it was going to come out, so one way or another, that it is his child, how better a gift to be like, hey, the circumstances are messed up, but this is your child. Do you see what I'm saying? To then give him some like, oh my gosh, I do have a child.
Right.
And I can now share custody, all of these kind of things. So that's where I kind of came into the fold and be like, okay, I'm good with it. I'm okay with it. There it is. But I thought it was very interesting that, to me, of the 2 versions, those were the 2 that were vastly different.
Oh, yes.
Those were the 2 that were there were other things that were similar, but vastly different with those 2. And I'm curious, what do you think, ladies? Do you think that they did that with us? Because that was a poignant, obviously, part of the story.
Meaning, do we think that...
Why do you think the versions were vastly different? Or drastically different?
They're bringing us back to season 1.
I don't really know why they would do that so differently, because in Noah's part, he doesn't know, or at the beginning anyway, she says, I don't know who Joni's father is. But then in her part, she says, I know, or you're not Joni's father. So I don't know if it was just a thing of like him wanting to remember it differently or what. I actually don't think it's going to be that big of a thing, like, oh, did he know then or did he not know then? Because it's clear that he just knows. So, but I think the whole Cole finding out, obviously, is going to be a huge part of season 3.
Sure.
100%.
How he finds out, you mean?
Yeah.
How he finds out, and the fact that he does find out. He's going to find out.
He's going to find out.
He's going to find out for sure.
But Scotty and Noah and Helen are the only people, and Allison, obviously, the only people who know. I guess, and the lawyer now.
And Helen still doesn't know that Allison was the one that pushed Scotty in front of the car.
Right. And that's something I wanted to...
Well, yeah.
We don't think.
Something I wanted to shout out in chat really quick. LKC said, I feel bad for Helen, though, because she still thinks that Noah took the rap for her when he really did it more for Allison.
No, I think it's really for both of them, honestly, because it would have been just a shit show either way. It would have been if Helen had the finger pointed, Allison, it all would have been bad. I really do think so.
No, I completely agree. I think it would be bad either way. But I get what he's saying in the sense of, or she, sorry, I'm not sure if LKC is that or whatever. But
LKC.
But I think of it in the sense of because Noah doesn't know, or I'm sorry, Helen doesn't know, or at least as far as we know right now, that Allison pushed him. So, and he said to her, like, I'm gonna do whatever for you. I don't want you to be a part of this whatsoever. So I get the point of it because she doesn't know that he's doing it for both of them. And when she got out of the car, she says, I love you. So it does, I can imagine how I would feel thinking that my ex-husband was doing this whole thing just for me. And, it's just kind of one of those things to keep Helen on the line for Noah even farther. I agree with you.
I don't.
But I'm just saying it's. I get the point of it.
What if he were to say, actually, no, Allison, like it's involving her on another level that she doesn't need to know. Like sometimes what you don't know is better than what you do know. You know what I mean?
Well, also, that is a great point you bring up. I believe the reason why, I think twofold. Number one, of course, Noah, deep in his heart, he wants to look like a hero. I mean, that's, I think...
Only to Allison and Helen.
I'm saying in the sense of this is something that I think any man wants to have some good in him shown, right? And I think because of that, this is a way, because he does, I agree that he loves Helen and he loves Allison differently, but he loves them. Okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Helen is the mother of his children.
Yeah.
They have history. You saw them frolicking in the beach, which I thought was a great scene. I really liked that scene.
What's happening?
I like that scene.
Yeah,
I thought that was my favorite scene that I saw. My favorite happy scene. So when he tells her, don't worry about it. If he was to say, "Hey, guess what? Allison pushed her," I think, I think that would make things way convoluted.
Oh yes.
And then Helen could be the type of person to make sure that Allison goes to jail.
Oh, yes.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I don't believe that he didn't want that to happen, because in his mind, he's like, wait a second, I don't want her to go either. So I think it was easy. And of course, this is a heat of the moment. You do a lot of things hastily in the heat of the moment. But I like the fact that when he drops her off and she says, I love you, and then she kind of walks off into the distance, and he's like, okay, now we know that he rushes back to check on Allison.
I know.
To basically be as comforting as well. And that dancing that we love, and when they're like together, and he's, it's just it culminates this triangle that this whole show was based on.
But he never ever said that he, like, I don't love Helen. I mean, clearly he stopped loving her in the way of let's be married and have sex and all that kind of stuff. But he's never even slightly alluded to not loving her. So I'm not surprised in the slightest that he would be like, oh, okay. I mean, I am kind of surprised because Noah, we've seen this season be so selfish, but I mean, when it comes to something like this, how could he? But
that's why it was so dramatic tonight, because we've seen him all season being like such a giant pile of dung that, like, tonight it's like he resurrected.
He rose from the ashes a little bit. He's still a little ashy, but he did rise from the ashes. I'm just saying that's we're gonna go there. I'm giving him 91. I'm giving him 91%. That's what I'm giving him.
I want to know what happened to Scotty.
I was just
like, that's the thing that they didn't tie up for us, is like, so everyone just left Scotty there, and the thing is Noah also touched Scotty, so his like DNA is
on there. Exactly.
I mean, on the neck at least. I mean, I don't know how long that's gonna last.
You can't like fingerprint like this.
But
they can't like scrape for fingerprints.
I don't know. I feel like they can scrape for stuff. I don't know.
The fact that he touched him obviously is going to be somehow, and they could spin it any kind of way.
Yeah.
That it's going to place him at the scene.
Well, it doesn't matter. He confessed.
Right. He did. I want to talk about Cole, because Cole, in this regard, of course, the whole situation of this happening is Cole's wedding. Cole and Luisa's wedding, which I'm going to say this right now. I know that it's needed for the show, but I thought it was very, very strange that Cole and Luisa get married at the Lobster Roll. You have Allison there, the ex-wife, preparing everything, kumbaya about it. Then you have Noah there. Then you have Helen there. Then you have Margaret there with Xanax,
because she
giving
paid for
gifts.
everything.
I mean, I know, but I'm just saying the fact that it was
funny that she paid for everything.
She paid for everything, so it was like, what?
Yes.
Like, because to me, that's what took me out of it being realistic, because that's not a realistic thing that would happen in a regular type of family setting where you have this dichotomy happen.
Right.
Well, I mean, I guess in the sense of, look, now they're in a business together. They own this place together. So they obviously have to have a working relationship together. They have to be copacetic in that way. It'd be really uncomfortable if they were business partners and totally not able to work together. So they're trying to, be frugal, I guess, a little bit. Why not have it at the Lobster Roll? It's their new place. It's a big debut. It's, they put a lot of money into the place.
And it's like his,
it's his
Cole's
thing.
Loved it for so long.
And it's for her. So it's kind of like symbolic of their love in a way.
I'm not saying it was terrible. I'm just saying it's just far-fetched, but it's kind of,
I mean, it was far-fetched that Helen was there. Like, it was far-fetched that Margaret was like, you need to be my date, Helen. And Helen's like, what the?
And she doesn't like Allison still.
Why would she ever go, even though her mom is throwing it? Like, there's no, it's
reason.
just,
that part was
cheesy
far-fetched. Yeah.
moment in a show that we never see those moments happen in.
But it's also like it gave us the whole. It was the necessary thing to give us this giant triangle that now is here.
Is there, and it's in our face. So going back to Cole, he did not have a whole lot to say in this. I think his biggest moment was the moment with Alison on the beach.
Yeah.
We don't really see him and Louisa, talk or whatever, little bits and pieces, but nothing that is derivative of the storyline. But of course, their wedding is the focal point of all of this happening.
Yes.
And that being said, let's say, I hoped that they were going to let us in on Cole finding out that it was his baby.
I know.
In the episode.
I was hoping
but
so.
There was
already gave us so much.
I know, there was so much. I can't be mad, but I was like, that was the one thing I was missing. I was like, oh, I want to get Cole's reaction when he finds out that that's his child.
Well, there was a part of me, too, when they were on the beach, that scene, it seemed like Alison is struggling, too, with the fact that she has this daughter. Like, there's a part of me that's feeling, or she's giving me a feeling where she doesn't really want her daughter.
Well,
or she's somewhat, I don't know, she's not stoked on having a kid. She's into the restaurant and running the restaurant, and it's like the kid is like an added layer of, that's what she was giving me.
Well, me too, though, and I'm just so surprised because I know she's been through a lot, obviously, but I guess I always assumed that if she had another baby, that oh my gosh, she would be so excited. And now we know that she's leaving. She's in Montauk 3 days a week, away from the baby and away from Noah. So I'm like, wait. After all this, you're just gonna, peace out, kid. Let me go run my restaurant.
Right.
She definitely doesn't seem stoked on it. Noah literally flat out admits tonight that he was mad at Alison whenever she told him and thought that she did it to trap him. And I'm like, ooh, no, boo, you wrong. She actually slept with her ex-husband. She wasn't trying to trap you.
It just seemed like the perfect conversation to be like, I have little treat for you.
Right.
You could be a father again.
Your wedding gift from me. My child is yours.
Yeah. I don't know. That's there was like backstory in my brain happening as the scene was happening.
But it definitely seemed like in that scene, it seemed like she wanted to tell him, but then I think there's also the part of her that goes back to, oh, I don't want this to this involvement to be happening, and I just want to be able to live my life with my child and with my future husband.
I think that yes, I think that she definitely wanted to tell him. Going to your point that you made, Alison, is that in regards to her wanting the child or not wanting the child, I believe that is a result of the fact that she can't be free with who the father is. Because she had to have the secret so much when she found out that it was Cole's baby and she knew for sure.
Yes.
I think that's where the disdain, if you want to call it that, for the child came. Because she didn't always feel that way.
When did she know it was Cole's?
It was...
When did she reveal to us that we knew she knew?
No, we didn't find that out until tonight.
Oh, okay, that's...
But she's known... I want to say
she struggled with knowing.
It was the DNA test. It was she had...
Helen did that.
No, Helen did that.
Okay, but didn't she...
We didn't know until tonight that Alison knew.
We didn't know that it... Right. Yes, Alison never...
But she didn't always know.
Well, actually...
she didn't always know.
In her mind... In her version tonight, she was the one that says, "You're not the father."
Right.
So there was a part of her, I guess, that always knew.
But we didn't know that until tonight.
We didn't know that until tonight.
Right.
I don't think, I personally, this is my personal opinion, and it's very true, but I don't believe that she knew the entire time, like from conception on up. I think there was a point in time, even though it wasn't clear to us,
right,
from her version, that she knew at some point in time that this was Cole's baby.
Right.
Because to me, there was a time that she was excited about having a child, and when she turned his office and his being
into
Noah's office into the nursery, and she's like, "Oh, baby, baby, baby." And then all of this going on, and we find that there's complications. I saw when she was going to school and trying to juggle all these things, and then Noah not being present because he's on his book tour and all of this kind of stuff. And I think at some point in time, she finds out, and then at that point, it's like, oh, wait, I can't be truthful about this baby. Right. So, of course, you're going to be somewhat apprehensive about how you feel.
Yeah, I think it may have become more obvious to her once Joni started taking on the likeness of Cole.
Sure.
And
Right.
that was especially reinforced when Scotty surprised them on the street that day.
And
was
we
like,
saw her kind of be like, you know, when Scotty did approach her, she wasn't like, "What are you kidding me? You're crazy."
Right.
She was kind of like, "Shut up."
Yeah.
But I gotta point this out too. Everybody in chat, and I'm feeling what you're saying. They are not necessarily hating on Allison, but they think the speech that was made by Noah didn't actually happen, or maybe didn't happen exactly how they said. That they think he's just trying to paint Allison in a better light because he always tries to protect her. And Subugati
he's trying to paint her in a better light in his version when he was yelling.
That's what they're
when
saying.
He was yelling at her, being like, "I never want to see you again."
Bad.
He made her look terrible.
Well,
I don't
that's
think
what
so.
LKC said. I don't think the speech happened because I think it's his way of trying to make Allison see. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's interesting though. They're talking about her dress, and that's very interesting. Her dress in Noah's version.
It was different.
So the yellow dress that she had on, they're commenting if this was a dress that she wore in the first season, or if it was just very similar. And that actually is very interesting to me. I don't remember. I don't remember. She commented on it like
on the
nice dress.
Right.
Yeah.
In passing.
I feel like it was a dress similar to one that she wore in season 1. In Noah's, Noah's version anyway.
I was like,
so
what
maybe
dress
not.
is that?
Maybe not that he's actually trying to paint, well, especially not in that speech, but through his own like part and through his own vision,
Reminiscing.
he's trying to make her seem like, oh, this is the fragile, innocent girl who I met in season 1, who's now wearing these like dainty yellow dresses again, because in her part she's wearing, you know, like a nice, more whatever.
But I mean, to me, okay, I'm not a expert on dresses, but to me, the two dresses were similar in the sense that they looked very similar. They had bright colors. Obviously, one was the yellow dress, the other one had like the print on it.
Right.
Very different, Lem. Very different.
Okay, I'm not even gonna talk about that. Then. Fine. Okay, I'm not an expert, but being that you all are women and expert on feminine attire, why do you think that there were two different versions with the dress being different?
Oh no, it's an important thing in the sense of kind of.
It had to be important because they made a point of doing it.
Right. So in the fact that it's positioning kind of Allison in Noah's mind in a certain way. So in this was a pinnacle episode for this season, right?
Obviously.
And so the fact that a lot of his view of her was kind of reminiscent of how he met her in season 1,
when he fell
I think
in
was
love.
right.
Okay.
Was interesting
Okay.
to like tie it back to that. And he also commented, "Oh, you look very nice," or whatever he said, right?
And he was like, "Is that new?" She's like, "No, it's actually an old
It's
dress."
actually old.
Yeah.
And there was none of that with her, with her version in her
course.
floral attire.
Right.
There was none of that.
I think it just takes us back to, because the difference in the dress it really is in how they're made. Like the first is the more like, even though it's not like a bohemian dress, but it's, you know, the flowy kind of free whatever that Allison was like in season 1. And then the one that she's wearing in her version is more, it represents kind of the new Allison, the more like city, even though she's in Montauk half the time now. And I think it's just kind of trying to tell us that, like, okay, Noah is going back to how he felt season 1 about. I think that's why they did it.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, obviously they made a point of doing that, so there had to be some significance to it.
Yes.
So
This
we'll leave
is
it at that.
good. Cough
Yes.
2009 just said it represents 2 types of women. That's why it's important. The new dress. Sorry, I just lost it. The new dress was of a woman who is in charge. And Subugati said also the yellow dress mirrors her nurse/waitressy outfits. Servitude submission, which is his idealized version.
I was thinking
of
that.
her.
That dress was very like her waitressy gear. Yeah. Yes.
Interesting. We love the people in chat.
I know.
They're awesome.
Y'all
People
are
in chat are
amazing.
awesome. We love you guys.
And they remember stuff that I don't remember
Right.
too. So
Well,
it's
Allison's
great.
uniform was yellow in the pilot.
Yes,
It was yellow in the pilot.
Well, the whole scene, it was yellow.
Crevo.
It was, yeah.
So good.
That was, well, until he got to the screaming part, then I was like,
Even that, I was like,
You like the screaming part?
Raw and gritty.
Just-
I was
yeah.
like, okay.
Colin Donnell, that's the actor who plays Scotty, is amazing.
Yeah. So I was hoping, but they didn't show it. And I think this, I'm going to Cole now again because, like I said, the lack of presence.
It's fine. You can go to Cole as much as you want.
Yes, we don't mind that. It's all about Cole.
Whatever. Anyway, I think just prediction early, but I think he's going to be very prevalent in the next season.
Oh yeah,
I'm just saying, very Cole is.
It's time for him to get a Golden Globe nomination. So let's hope so.
Very prevalent.
Yes.
But when he was singing that song, of course, we just saw the back of their heads, and I was just curious. I was like, "Oh, pan to them, please," because I wanted to see what his face was giving while Scotty was up here on this. Well, first it was a very weird kind of, talking about was in rehab and he's drinking obviously while he's saying that, and so he's just being Scotty, and then he starts into this song that the band just like, oh, they were ready, they're okay, we practiced this, and he starts singing the song, and House of the Rising Sun, which we played at the beginning.
I did not see that
podcast.
coming, by the way.
I did not either.
I thought he was gonna do some ad-libbed song and he was gonna totally give it away. Okay.
Yes,
yeah, right.
I believe you. I was right there. I did. I thought he was going to ad-lib to say that it's Cole's baby. Like, that's what I thought was going to happen. Like, I was waiting for it, and he did it. And then you see Alison is like, it's not your baby. It's not your baby. And I'm like, wait, what? Is she dying?
I love that they did that for one of his final scenes because he has been such an amazing character on this show and a very important one. Obviously, season 1, episode 1, somebody died, and it's all about Scotty's death. Obviously, it's about the affair, but he's been a very important and pivotal character in a lot of ways. And so I love that since I'm guessing he won't be on season 3. I like that the writers took it in that way.
No, flashbacks. It could have still. I don't know. Maybe.
But I like that they gave him that scene because it was so powerful to me.
Oh, he's a Broadway singer.
All of their. Oh, he's a Broadway singer.
Is he a Broadway singer? I think he's a Broadway singer.
Cough 2009.
I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't doubt it.
But I just love that they did that because it was a powerful scene. They nailed it in the writing for that situation. So, and just everybody, the whole room is just like the whole time he's singing.
Well, it was like they were mesmerized. It was almost like this beautiful train wreck.
Oh yes.
It was just like he's singing, he's drunk, he's just losing it.
Yes.
He's unraveling because obviously, he gets the news that he's not. I have the hiccups now. That he's not being. I had him earlier and I got rid of him right before the show,
today.
and they now are back. So excuse me. Dang it. All right, here we go. We're gonna finish this out.
It's kind of adorable, though. I have to say.
But it sucks. Okay, so but we get the news. He gets the news that he is not going to be cut into the lobster roll, which he went to rehab. Cole told him, he said, go to rehab. Oh, gosh. He said, oh, my God. Okay, we're almost done. He said,
just hold your breath. Hold your breath for 20 seconds, and it'll get ready.
April's got this.
Okay, go ahead. Take it over.
I don't know about y'all, but I am so surprised. I heard you gasp. I am so surprised that Cole actually told him in that moment, whenever we see Scotty saying, obviously Alison looked surprised because she was. She didn't know that Cole said to Scotty, yes, I'll cut you in or whatever. But I'm just surprised that Cole, I'm like, Cole, just give it to him. Just say, yeah. He's literally telling you the thought of me being in this business just saved my life while I was in rehab, while I'm looking at the ceilings and da-da-da-da. And it doesn't matter what face Alison is giving you over there. Just go with it. He just told you that is the only thing he is hoping for, which maybe it would be worse if after he got out of rehab and then he told him. But it's obviously it turned out for the worse now. It's if Cole just could have been like, okay, and just awkwardly walked away oh, it's my wedding, so let's not talk about this right now. But he didn't. He chose to be like, are you kidding me?
I actually thought that he kind of kept it a little open-ended, though, by the end, because he said, why don't you go back 6 months, a year, and then we can revisit this conversation. Give me more of a reason to even have this conversation with you. But 3 months in rehab and you haven't had a drink in 3 months is not enough for me to suddenly say, yeah, you're a partner. Right. So I do think he was right in that, and he didn't say it's a no. It's just you need to have a better track record and a longer one.
I just think it wasn't necessary for him to say at that moment. I completely agree with you.
Yeah,
it's kind of just swallow it and just be like, oh, sorry, Alison, I told him this, da 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 da. and kind of go with that. But and in Subagata, you are just on it tonight.
Oh my God, this is a good one, actually.
Yeah, he says, apparently the rising sun is a foreshadowing towards Cole now being the heroic son/SON/SUN. Cole is rising as the family patriarch as Scotty's sun is literally about to set, just like his father. That is good.
That is good.
We know that this show does not do anything, for granted.
Right.
Meaning that if they put in a
song like that,
or they put in any type, with the difference of the dresses, these kind of things, they have some meaning, to it. That being said,
I
was holding my breath like 4 times and it didn't work. We're just gonna wrap up. We're almost done. But I thought it was great that Scotty had that scene to kind of tie everything together, and the fact that after all this happens, I felt really bad for Scotty. Because I'm in the sense that I'm not saying like the things that happened to him, it's not like he didn't deserve it. He obviously, he led that life. He was alcoholic, drug addict, all those kind of things.
Sure.
Cole gave him, he went to rehab, went in for 3 months. He thinks he's going to be okay, which for him to take a drink right after him.
Oh, that was terrible.
You know what I'm saying?
That was so bad.
But that told to me that he really wasn't serious
and
about.
he was never going to
about his sobriety.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was never going to change.
And in that instance, like, okay, even if he did wait 6 months or if he waited a year, he was probably just going to end up, which I mean, I guess it's sad to say, but was he going to end up doing the exact same thing as soon as something upset him then? As soon as he didn't get his part that he thought he should have gotten, or not as much, or whatever.
And that's why Cole said what he said. He said, okay, that's great, but 3 months is not enough. 6 months, give me a year, then we can discuss this again.
I think I felt bad for Scotty up until the point where he started being aggressive toward Allison on the side of the street. That's when I was like, you are not cool, man.
Well, yeah,
you were ucky for a while.
I was surprised that he went there with her.
I wasn't, because didn't they talk about how he kind of had some lingering feelings toward Allison? There was some jealousy about Cole having Allison or whatever.
Well, he's always been pretty jealous of Cole for sure.
Yeah,
and
anything Cole has. Yeah,
well, and I think he was just. I mean, I'm surprised because I don't know why I'm surprised, but I was kind of surprised that that's how they took it that way, I guess. But I don't know.
He went to the lowest of the low. I think it was a desperation move in the sense that he felt like he didn't have anybody.
Right.
He doesn't he feels like his brother doesn't respect him. He also feels like there's nothing he can do right. He's now back. He went to rehab. He can't stay sober, so it's like, I'm just going to basically make everybody miserable around me,
right.
And so Allison, basically, she ends up walking. She's an easy target. He's there trying to sober up. She walks up. He has this disdain for her because of his situation, and now he takes it on her.
Yeah,
I don't think it was a situation where he is in love with her or things like that. It was just taking out his frustration.
Well, and he was
on her.
also real drunk.
But I mean, it was just he's broken.
Right.
He's a broken man. He's taking out his frustration on Allison because what else is he going to do?
Right.
That's how his course of action was, and that's where it came.
Yeah.
And it met its demise.
Ashley Taylor in chat says, what did you guys think about how close Helen and Noah got tonight before the accident? This is kind of what I was talking about earlier, in the sense of I'm not that surprised, because Noah he likes what's comfortable with him, and whenever Helen is being the old Helen that he used to love, like she was tonight, I can't talk about this, let's go in the water.
Right.
I'm not surprised, because that's what that's what he was so attracted to so long ago, and that's what he always longed for, toward the end of their marriage, was the old Helen and the adventurous Helen. I'm not surprised by that, in the sense of, because he had just, if that conversation actually happened with Allison, had that conversation of her being like, I don't know who the father is, da 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 da, and then he has this woman who, did him so right and was so great to him. I'm not surprised. I think Noah and Helen will always have a close relationship. I definitely think that she still loves him. Well, she said it tonight. I think he still loves her, not in that way, but obviously I think he's always going to love her. But I don't think I don't know. Well,
there was a part of me that really thought that there was a chance of some rekindling in that moment.
Me too.
I was very much thinking.
You talking about the water scene?
Well, after everything that he allegedly said to Allison, and then going off with Helen, and then having the water scene, and clearly it was an evening together for them.
Well, he put his hand on her leg, and then
all of that. So I was like, oh my God, are they going to get back together?
Right.
Yeah.
And asking very pointed questions about her relationship with Vic. So
speaking of her relationship with Vic, Autumn pointed out in chat that in the beach scene, Helen was wearing a ring. And I didn't notice it either.
A lot of people did notice it though.
Right.
Yeah, everyone's like, what did y'all think? What did y'all think? I didn't notice it, but I don't think that they're engaged. I think it might just be a ring that she's wearing. If they are, then it would surprise me anyway.
She doesn't seem like the type that would jump into that. I mean, we see that he is with her in the courtroom scene in some of the previous scenes when they fast forward, and that he is there with her. In the courtroom. So they're obviously together still at that point.
Yeah.
He didn't go to LA.
And just whenever they're talking on the beach, she doesn't, it seems like that would have kind of come, or it would have been more serious whenever she's like, oh, he got offered a job in LA.
Sure.
I think he's waiting on me to tell him not to. That wouldn't even be a conversation if they were engaged.
Exactly.
Like, oh, he's waiting on me to tell him not to, but I don't know if I'm going to or not.
Exactly.
Like that.
Absolutely.
No. If they were engaged, it would be a little different.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think...
Say it ain't so, Lem.
Wait, we didn't really necessarily talk about the very last second in Allison's part, whenever, in Noah's version, when he hears the rustling, then in Allison's part, we see that he sees Allison and hears her. We did, but at first, I thought he didn't see her and was just kind of like, no.
Right.
And then whenever we know that he does... Oh, no, wait. We already said that he didn't tell. I was going to make a point by that. I'll think of it in just a second.
Well, we're going to get into predictions.
Let's do that. All right.
She's like, you better think about it real quick.
What was I going to say? That just went out of my mind.
But I really appreciate how they, like, I'm just reiterating, how they did this episode and how they pieced everything together and still left us wanting season 3.
Of course.
Like, I mean, that's to me is
next level.
To basically be able to tie all these loose ends up. They've been giving us hints about all season and then, get us ready for a season. I think is amazing. So shout out to the writers, the producers, all the people involved. Let's get into predictions.
We're doing it.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
I'm like, oh God.
Alison Dean, I'm going to start with you.
Really? You start with me because my head is down and I'm like, I don't even know what to say right now.
I'm just like looking away. Like,
oh my God. I know. It's like,
I'm still trying to get rid of these hiccups, so I want to give my predictions hiccups.
So, oh my God, I don't know. I mean, if we're going to go with how everything ended in the finale, it seems that Noah and Allison are together up until trial. But I don't know. There's just so much about the relationship where I'm struggling to think that they're going to be together for all eternity, And I was really hoping for that, but no. And then I don't know. I'm kind of wondering what's going to go on with Cole finding out about the baby and what that will then do to his relationship with Allison, because now they're together in this business. So I definitely feel like this triangle is going to get more complicated. I really do. I think that I think it'll be very interesting to see if there's going to be some Allison Cole rekindling of some kind. I don't know. I think the whole trial thing, though, it's going to shake everybody up for a while. Like, there's just going to be tremors of that for a while, especially for Allison being in any sort of a relationship.
I don't know. I don't think that Allison is, I mean, maybe she'll keep her ownership with the lobster roll, but I don't think that she's going to be staying in Montauk now that he knows that Joni isn't his baby. And then with the arrest, I think she's going to be probably in the city back with Noah full time. Now, I want to see, and a lot of people in chat tonight pointed out, Allison always gets away with her sins. Like sometimes we've seen her go through some really bad stuff, obviously, but it's like even the baby thing, it gets brushed under the rug because, we just killed Scotty. And then Noah takes the fall for her, even though he's also taking the fall for Helen in a sense. And it's like, I don't know, it's making me, which I've always kind of been a little more Team Noah than I was Team Alison for some reason, but I guess I just think of it in the sense of like, she can't just, and her saying, well, then you got to choose. Because I know she wants to save herself, obviously, but I just didn't like that moment. I'm like, how can you tell him to choose between you? I mean, I get that you want to be chosen, but like, you can't ask him to do that. You help him come up with something else. So I just kind of want to see, I kind of do want to see like some retribution for Alison and all of these terrible things she did. Now, that's not to discount all the terrible things that Noah has done, because I also felt that throughout tonight. Like, don't, you know, Noah, we gave him so much flack for all this stuff he did, but look at Alison. She freaking had sex and a baby came from it.
Although, okay, in her defense, when she slept with Cole that night, she was feeling very, very shunned, I think, by Noah. She was feeling very much that she didn't, I feel like for her, she didn't know where her own relationship stood with him.
And she pointed that out.
She really, you know, so, I mean, look, I'm not endorsing her, like, going to bed with her ex-husband, but at the same time, I don't feel like it was, you know, it was an accident. I really do believe. I mean, she was very emotional.
I think so too. I mean, I think I get what she's saying, but I don't think she ultimately should have done that. But then look at her. She doesn't do a lot of things that she should be doing.
Poor Alison.
But I just think, one of the big things, obviously, I think season 3 is going to be focused on how do we get Noah out of this situation, because they can't have a show where Dominic West is in jail the whole time.
Peter Nidzgorski says season 3 opener is going to be a mistrial.
Ooh, I like that. I hope so.
Interesting.
But I think that season 3 is going to kind of revolve around how are we getting Noah out of the situation, and how is Cole going to find out. So I think he will eventually find out. Well, the baby's gonna grow up and look just like him, so sure he's gonna find out.
I want to point something out about that as we were talking, because I was saying I really was hoping that Cole was gonna find out prior to, you know, everything else happening, but that would not have happened simply because if we looked at in the previous episode, it was some time ago, you know how they would flash back and forth.
Yeah.
And so when they flashed to the trial, when Cole came up to Alison with the baby and said, oh, it's your baby, he's meeting the baby for the first time. So this is already past Scotty dying.
Right.
So that means that there's no way that even though she has told Noah that that's not his child, he still doesn't know.
Correct. Right, because Noah is still taking, and that's what I was saying earlier, part of the reason why I still, or he kind of redeemed himself even more, because even after he knows that it's not his baby, he still is like, but that's my baby. I mean, I don't know if that's exactly how he reacts, but he's clearly taking care of the baby, and we know that he and Alison do get married. And that's another thing. I hope that season 3 takes us back to, and I think it is, I think the darkness from killing Scotty is going to take them back there, but I hope it takes us back to that real, raw love between Noah and Alison.
High Tone in chat just said, I think the opener will be Noah's last day in prison, which will be interesting if that's the case. Okay, real fast. I also just want to say, I know you want to do predictions, but I also think the whole Max storyline, it'll be interesting to see what happens between Max and Noah's relationship based on what happened in trial with Max saying what he said.
Yes,
and also, that's another
I forgot.
piece that we haven't seen scene-wise. What, like, so allegedly he takes the Beamer to Max's house, but no, he took it to a mechanic and said he hit a deer. I don't know. There's just things about the body that we don't really know.
I think he took it to Max's house first and then maybe took it to the mechanic. But that's a lot of time to pass.
I don't think that happens.
I discredit Max's story completely.
Yeah. He was doing that vengeful.
I think he was being vindictive.
Yeah.
I don't think Noah went there at all.
I don't want to say he didn't go there at all, but I don't think that everying that he's said happened.
Oh no, I don't think so either. I think you could tell by the way he looked at Noah.
Exactly. He was just like, oh, I got you. So I'm just going to say prediction wise, because I can't talk very much. Hiccups are the devil. But I think we're going to see more about how this affects Cole going into season 3 with the baby. I think they're going to touch on that because that now that bomb has been dropped, now we need to see his reaction and how that's going to affect Alison and their relationship. You know, because now he's married. Of course, like you said, we know that Alison gets married as well. You know what I'm saying? All these things, how does it end up affecting? So I think we're going to see more of him. I don't think shocker, but I don't think that Noah's going to go to jail. I don't think that he's going to go to jail. I think there's something is going to happen that's going to, I don't want to say vindicate him, but him saying I'm guilty, I just can't see. That would be too easy. I'll put it like, for him confessing and then he goes to jail, I think that's too easy. Something is going to happen that's going to
the writers have something in store for us.
They have something in store with us big time, which I'm very excited because it's like now how they left it.
Right.
I want to see how it comes out. I want to see how everything comes out.
And now we have to wait.
And we have to wait. And we have to wait.
And wait.
Oh my gosh, we have to wait.
I'm predicting that we're going to be waiting for a while.
Yeah.
Damn it.
But
I don't want to wait.
I think it's going to be worth the wait, though.
What's that song? I Don't Want to Wait. Who sings that? I Don't Want to Wait. That's the one.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but I sound just like her.
Dawson's Creek. Wasn't that Dawson's Creek?
That was
With Joshua Jackson. Look at how I brought that all together.
I never watched Dawson's Creek.
I did.
Oh my gosh.
Nostalgia.
Neither did I. But
who did that song? Someone tell us.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't want to wait.
But ladies and gentlemen, I hate to say this, but it is time for us to wrap up this show.
I'm so sad. I don't want it to end.
The season finale.
I'm trying to see if I can find
it has
anything else
gone down. We appreciate everybody that has tuned in. We appreciate you getting in the live chat with us. Continue to use the hashtag ABTV The Affair. And use that on Twitter. Let us know how you feel. We covered so much, but there's so much more.
The conversation can continue.
Absolutely.
There's so much more because there's so many things about this story, and I love it.
Oh, Paula Cole. It was Paula Cole. Yes, that's who it was.
Cole, there it is.
Thank you.
Yeah. I've been your host, Lem Gonsalves. You can find me all day, every day at The Poet Saint, with or without hiccups.
Hopefully with.
Alison Dean.
What happened to Paula Cole?
I don't know.
Anyway, I'm Alison Dean. It's been real. Thanks for joining us this whole season. You can find me everywhere at the Alison Dean, Twitter and Instagram predominantly. Okay.
There you go. And I'm April Whisenhant. Y'all can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Snapchat, everywhere at April Whisenhant. Thank y'all so much for joining us. We absolutely love this show and love that you love it too. So comment on what you thought because I just don't even know.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's crazy. Like I said, go to YouTube. This will be downloaded on YouTube tomorrow. You can also listen to it on
iTunes, SoundCloud,
all of that. And like I said, use Twitter, comment on everything because we want to continue this conversation all the way leading up into
the next season. I'm trying.
I'm impressed.
Hey, I'm trying to do it, but I'm a trooper. This is how we roll.
Most importantly, though, see y'all after season
and happy holidays.
Season 3. Happy holidays. All of that. We'll see you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.